Today on the Nerdy Gritty, we played demos from the Steam Autumn Game Festival.
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. While they make some man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am the beta fox, as people on the internet call me.
I'm an early alpha of Dez, but we should hit 1.0
I'm
by
pretty
December.
sure we've said these like exact things before. Maybe at another Steam festival. But
or anytime we talked about like early access games.
Video games. Do video games.
Oh, here we go. New game show. I love
Yes,
it.
welcome back to our long-running series, Pro Gamer Movies. Where we talk about the latest silver screen offerings of video game adaptations.
Yeah.
And this week we are, of course, going to talk about the latest info and trailers and all that sweet, juicy, hot goss about
Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter, yes.
We're doing a Monster Hunter.
Capcom adaptation of Monster Hunter, directed by, of course, everybody's favorite video game adaptation director.
U-Bowl.
Oh, wait, you're right. He's the second worst. Paul W.S. Anderson, starring his wife, Mila Jovovich, in what just seems like this year's Resident Evil, kind of.
Except for, I enjoyed Resident Evil. I enjoyed it, not ironically, but like in a very visceral way. Like, it was fun and it was exciting and it's got references that I appreciated. They're not good.
Sure.
I recognize
get it.
that.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. What's frustrating to me is that it seems like in most video game, like, not most, a lot of video game adaptations, they don't know how to do it really well, and the solution is military squad shoot enemy from game.
Right.
That happens in both the Doom movies.
Right.
That happens in all of the Resident Evil movies. That's happening in Monster Hunter. The best adaptations, I still, for one, think the best video game adaptation ever made is the first Mortal Kombat movie. It's the best adaptation. It is not a good movie.
No.
I love it.
That just goes to show how bad video game movies usually are.
There are better movies that are video game adaptations. I think like Prince of Persia is a better video game adaptation movie.
And it's not a bad movie.
Tomb Raider,
I think it's fun.
Maybe all three Tomb Raiders. I think the newest one was the best one. But
I haven't seen. Oh my gosh!
You should watch the newest one. It's better than the Angelina Jolie. But well, it's basically like what the new Tomb Raider movies are to the old ones.
Right.
So it's good. Anyway, good adaptation. Anyway, Monster Hunter looks like a pile of hot garbage.
Garbage.
Heart
it
garbage.
Hurts my heart.
It does. I killed a monster and carved out its heart and turned it into a pile of garbage.
Here's what's weird to me. Monster Hunter, I haven't played the other ones, but I know for a fact the most recent Monster Hunter World,
the most accessible, the only one that I've played,
has
it's real fun.
A decent story. You're in a new land.
It has a story, yes.
Better than soldiers go to other dimensions and shoot monsters.
Yes. You're right.
Yes. Like, why not?
And I'll tell you what my main problem is not necessarily Soldier Squad. That's a big part of it because it's stupid and just such
really?
a trope.
Because it is mine.
But no, it's that the tone does not seem in any way to match Monster Hunter.
Right.
Monster Hunter World, that's the only one I can talk about. It's the only one I've played. Is a very take this seriously but campy.
Yes.
Like, we're gonna go out on an expedition and fight some monsters and make a new name for ourselves in this new land.
Absolutely.
And they're like anime fun, and you got a Palico cat guy with you, and you
have kitty chefs.
They cook fish.
Like that.
And,
yes. And
yeah,
it's
you
wonderful.
got giant swords and stuff, and obviously they're bringing in the giant swords. The monsters do look pretty accurate. That's what I've seen people on
they are top notch.
On the forums, a lot of people have said, or on message boards and stuff, comments in YouTube and stuff, say well, the monsters look pretty accurate. The rest of it looks like a hot pile of garbage, though. I mean, there was an interview with Paul W.S. Anderson on Polygon. I think it was part of New York Comic Con, where he talked about
and the question over and over again was just
why?
Why?
Who hurt you?
But why?
Who hurt you, sir?
That you are now wanting to hurt
Why
us
is
like
this?
this?
Why do you do this to us?
Why
Do
are
you
you-
actually secretly hate video
Do
games?
you blame us for your pain? Anyway,
Let's get into the news.
Let's get into the news.
The news today.
well, I have the newest updates on the Apple Unreal
Yeah.
drama that's going on right
You
now.
mean Apple Epic?
Apple Epic, sorry. Unreal Engine
Who
is
makes the
involved
Unreal
in this.
Engine,
Yeah,
yes.
but Apple has been ordered to leave Unreal Engine and Epic's subsidiaries alone. Epic has filed a restraining order against Apple, and it has successfully gone through because during the proceedings. So here are the kind of the basic update of the proceedings are. The Judge Rogers, she has been hearing all of this and she has been proceeding it, and her her quote right now, in short, said Rogers, Epic Games cannot simply exclaim monopoly to rewrite agreements giving itself unilateral benefits.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, so like that's basically Epic's thing right now is like they have a monopoly on their own store.
Right.
It's like, no, they have ownership
That's
of their
not
own
what a
store.
monopoly
Yeah, you don't
is.
know what monopoly means. You can't do this. So
Hey, Lego, you only you're the only one who gets to sell Legos? Monopoly.
Monopoly. It's ridiculous, but in the process, Apple has been what's been called retaliating with a plethora of they're exercising their own store now. They're like, you know what? No Unreal Engine anymore at all.
Man.
No Unreal Engine on our store. And
I mean, is that something they can do?
no.
No?
So
Okay.
the judge has come out and been like, you can't do that because now this isn't, you're not just limiting
Yeah,
Epic.
this one
You're limiting
yeah.
so many
So many
people.
games.
And
Yeah, so many
and now you are
producers and-
stopping. Your store is a big store, and
Yeah,
therefore
yeah.
you should be able to offer some things like that. You
And
know,
that would hurt. That would hurt their store more. Like,
they're just being mean.
yeah,
now. But
it's a schoolyard brawl at this point.
they have a schoolyard brawl if it's like a 12th grader versus a
it's
5th grader.
It's a schoolyard brawl, but the schoolyard kids are billionaires.
Yes.
Have you seen? Okay, so it was news a few weeks ago that in the remaster, the PS5 remaster of SpiderMan, the Marvel Sony game SpiderMan, that they are actually replacing Peter Parker's face.
Is this the deep fake or is this for real?
No, this is real.
Interesting.
That they you haven't seen this?
No.
Well, no. Their remaster, they did a facial, like their recapture, their motion capture. They basically, it seems as though had a new motion capture person come in and just replace
Interesting.
same dialogue. I think same like scenes. It's just he looks like a different person now. Let me find a comparison.
I do know that there was a
I'll
deep
show you
fake.
that comparison right
yeah,
there.
let's see. Oh yeah, he looks younger and a
He
little
looks
more
much,
realistic.
honestly, he looks a little more similar to Tom Holland.
Yeah.
But yes, he does. That's what people are saying is that he does look younger. Well, that was news a couple weeks ago. What's also been seen by some is that Miles Morales in the new game, in the new, the spin-off or whatever you want to call
and
it,
Spider-Man Miles Morales
is not wearing Jordans. He's wearing Adidas shoes.
Oh no!
And honestly, that was my first reaction. That was like, who the freak cares?
Yeah.
But honestly, this is a African American teenager who lives in the Bronx. I think it's in the Bronx or Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, I think, is
In one of the outer boroughs, not
Yeah.
Manhattan. And like I read an article on Polygon talking about like that's actually a pretty big cultural like thing.
Oh, okay.
Like wearing Jordans is it's a status symbol.
Right.
And wearing Adidas is different. It's a different there's a different connotation. Jordans are like the elite, that's the shoe, and other things, especially if you it's harder for us to understand because we are
It is.
not in New York culture. Neither of us are African American, and we are not into sneaker culture, which is huge, even though we live in Portland and we're like the sneaker capital of the world. I don't know if you
Nike
knew
is
that.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. Nike is headquartered here. Yeah. Anyway, a lot of sneakerheads. Into the Spider-Verse, he very clearly wore Nike. He wore Jordans, and it was like very clear logo and everything. And for a lot of people, that actually like it that specific shoe just is hundreds of dollars now, like ridiculously, because people wanted it. It was a big deal. He was wearing Jordans. and now in the game he's shown wearing a type of an Adidas sneaker, and that's an interesting cultural thing. But my wonder is, what's next? Is this going to be a Ship of Theseus type of like, let's replace everything
one at a time?
Yeah. Oh wait, they took out the Empire State Building. Now it's the Burj Khalifa from. They're just replacing everything, and it's an entire. Since when is he?
And now it's Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Now it just becomes an Assassin's Creed.
Here's what I think would be cool.
Yeah.
And here's what a way I think that Sony could save face with this.
Yes.
Hey, sneaker culture is important to you. That was the sneaker skin you get right off the bat.
Sure.
But you can change your sneakers throughout the game.
That would be super interesting if there was a non-Spider-Man component to the gameplay.
Yeah.
Where you had, I don't know how they would implement this. He's younger. Maybe he's still in school. Maybe that, like, you can change a bit of a fashion element would be really interesting. It would be very unique for a game like this. But yeah, the type of shoes, the type of jacket, the labels of clothes.
In Spider-Man PS4, you could change Spider-Man's outfit, and you
sure.
from it.
I'm saying like non-Spider-Man time in the game.
Oh,
when you are not swinging around,
interesting.
when you are like with your friends, hanging out after school or something. Well, let's move into what have you been up to? What have you been playing this week?
So most of what I've been doing has been playing the games we're going to talk about later.
Sure.
So we'll get to that in a little bit. But I did watch a movie last night called Red Shoes and the Seven Dwarfs. It is a Netflix or an Amazon original. Dang it, I can't remember which one it was. But
so is this a combination of Snow White but Wizard of Oz?
No.
Oh, okay.
It is a combination, or it's not a combination of anything. So here's the basic premise of this movie. By the way, it was dumb. It was real dumb.
Oh, okay. Cool. Right off the bat.
Yeah. My kids loved it.
Sure.
It's a kids movie.
We all know
but
your
not a
kids are
good kids
dumb.
movie. And here's we've said this a lot, but Disney and Pixar have proven that you can make good children's movies.
Yeah, regularly.
Yes, absolutely. You can do that, no problem. And yet, so many places are still satisfied with coming out with not very good movies, but that are entertaining with children.
Sure, yeah.
And
Goofy fart humor.
And this is that.
My wife and I watched If Beale Street Could Talk.
Beale Street.
This is a drama based on a James Baldwin novel.
James Baldwin.
Yep, that's what he says. This is a movie that came out a year or two ago. It was pretty well received. It's essentially a drama about a young couple fall in love, and then this is in New York. It's set in, I think, the 70s. The guy, Alfonso, they call him Fonny, is falsely accused of rape, and it's a commentary on the justice system, about the failings of the justice system, as well as just the impact it has on, because after he's sent to jail, without actually being convicted, which happens a lot in real life, his girlfriend, they haven't actually gotten married, finds out she's pregnant. So it's just kind of commentary on how the justice system has it's not just poorly impacting the person that gets when it fails, it's just their entire world gets upset, their families. It was a good story. There wasn't much meat to the actual plot. There was a lot of artistic, it's a weird term to use because it's all artistic, but a lot of slower, kind of more just kind of revel in the moment of them falling in love, and Fonny is an artist and he's working on a sculpture. Just it's a very rich movie.
I've been watching a documentary. I'm 2 episodes into
Nerd.
High Score.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen this.
It's a video game documentary about kind of
the Netflix one.
Netflix documentary about the early days of video gaming, the 70s and 80s and early 90s of video gaming. And here's what I'll say. It's really good. I'm loving it. Particularly because it's video games and I love video games.
Sure, I'm interested in the topic.
Yes, I'm really enjoying it. As a documentary, it's fine. It's a little bit each episode they kind of try and tell 3 stories and they don't transition between them very well. They don't the narrator is, in my opinion, just not a very it's a fine narrator.
Clearly bored.
Not very compelling narrator. And so just as somebody who really enjoys like the Ken Burns documentaries and things like that, this one is fine. It's not bad by any means. If you like video games, it's very good.
I've been playing a little bit of Rune Factory 4.
Okay.
It was another one I talked last week about. What's that other game I talked about? You know that other one?
Yeah, that one.
The one that I totally remember. Oh, Disgaea 5.
Oh, that's not what I was going to say.
Where in my interest was like, I wonder if I'd like this. So again, I waited for a sale, picked it up on the Switch, and it's a life sim kind of farming, a Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon type game. It's fine. I can understand. It has another thing like Disgaea where it's like you level up everything you do. Like literally walking around, you'll just get levels because you walked up more. You walked enough, and so that part of my brain is a little satisfied there. But I don't necessarily need a story in these games. Stardew Valley doesn't really have a story, but it's a great game. This one does have a story, and it's dumb and stupid, and it's just, you're a prince who has amnesia. It's a very anime kind of aesthetic, and that's just never really been my jam. So again, this was one that, hey, if you are into this kind of thing, then it's probably actually something you'd be really into.
But it's not me. My kids have started playing Spiritfarer.
Ah.
And they're loving it. They're having a good time.
Sure.
Yeah, but last night, my son took Gwen to the Everdoor, and he came up in tears, my poor boy.
There you go.
And it feels so
successful
good.
Game.
Yes, very well
Good
done.
job, games. Good job, Thunder Lotus.
Good job, Thunder Lotus. Good job, games. And I had a lot of pride as a father, and I just sat with him. And he's a boy after my own heart. One who
he's a sensei.
Yeah. And so he's just like, I don't know why I'm so sad, but I'm just going to miss having her around, I
love it.
Like,
that's
yeah,
great.
dude, I do know. So we talked for a while, and it was a really good conversation because there was specifically the, hey, she's gone, but you can always remember the good times you had.
Sure.
And you can always remember why you enjoyed having her around. And it was very similar to the conversation you'd have, about death.
If a person
which
in
is
real life
what the
died.
game is about. So, of course, I did cap it off with, and you can always start the game over and see
you
her
can play
again.
the game again.
Yeah, and you can see her again.
And
but,
Thunder Lotus has done something really special with that game.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so
Great
good.
job, guys.
All right. Well, we've said all the things we're going to say.
Now let's move into other types of
Other
reviews.
things that
Other
we're gonna
reviews.
say. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Hey, we want to take this moment that if you're listening to this right now, it means that you're listening to an edited version of the nerdy gritty. To be clear, the second part is not edited at all. We keep all that good stuff in there. But that first chunk, if you really like listening to us chat about what we've been up to, what shows we've been watching, what news we've been into, things like that, other stuff that's going on, you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/dezandfox, and subscribe to our second tier or higher, and you will get access to what we call the director's cut of the nerdy gritty. This has often 20 minutes, half an hour, sometimes more of time edited out of our podcast, and all that's tucked back in there, and you can hear us talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, like us ripping on Monster Hunter for the first 15 minutes of this episode and things like that. And so it's really fun, it's really great. If you're not into that, hey, we appreciate your support, and again, the second part of this is always right there for you, as is. But if you want to listen to us, again, we really appreciate your support on Patreon if you go over and do that. If not, we always appreciate when you just share, like, comment, tell people about it. Word of mouth is the only way we get this out there, so please tell your friends about the nerdy gritty. All of that being said, I want you guys to tell Fox to learn how to do these messages.
What are you talking about? That's me that said all of that.
Yep, that was you.
That was all me.
Let's get down to the nerdy gritty. The real one.
Yeah, good idea, Kyle. Fox. Dang it!
So recently was the Steam Autumn Game Festival, or the Steam Game Festival Autumn Edition.
It's a long
was
name.
Official title.
Sure.
The Steam Game Festival Autumn Edition.
Sure.
And like we've done before with the summer and the spring or whatever else, we just went in and we played some demos. And
yeah, it's been really fun to start doing that.
Yeah, we are both really big fans of doing this for a lot of reasons. Not the least of which is I like following these games afterward.
Yeah,
I'm still really eager for
Lake. That's the one I'm super into.
Yes, but
Backbone.
Dang it. No, I remember what it's called, but it's the wine one. It's like a wine making
the
puzzler.
wine making simulator.
100 days. 100 days.
There you
Yeah.
go.
I'm really stoked for that. I've been checking in that often. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we're just going to go back and forth. We each played 5.
We each played 5 demos from this game festival. I think we'll talk a little bit about why we played these games.
Right.
Because I tried to find specific ones for specific reasons. But I think my favorite part about this is just demos. I love demos. I love the idea of just, hey, try out our game, see if you like it, especially in the indie realm.
Right.
There's in the AAA realm, I know what I'm going to play.
Yeah. If
Generally,
the new
it's very
Assassin's
easy
Creed is
to
coming out, you know what's going on.
I'm very likely
Yeah.
going to play it. Or even if it's a game that's not part of a series like Ghost of Tsushima, I knew within 10 minutes, yeah, that one's for me.
Yeah.
But when it comes to indie games where there's so much more creativity, so much more variety, I guess is a better word to use, then I like having a little taste of what the game is like, because there might be genres that in general, not my thing, but maybe this one, because it does it this way, I could get into that. And that's actually true for one of these games for me.
Oh, all right.
So,
all right.
so anyway, why don't you go ahead, go first, and
I'm going to
give us
go
one of your
in
demos.
order of the ones that I enjoyed the least, which is to say I enjoyed all of them.
That should be a disclaimer here: is these are demos.
Yes.
So we're not going to be talking about. I'm not really intending on just rating them. I will talk about things that I think could help. You know,
Yes.
if they maybe they could work on this a little bit, but it's a demo. It's something that's currently in the process of being made. For the most part, I actually have one that came out today. But like that's the disclaimer. We're not here to bash or just to say you did a bad. They're working on it, and games can change.
Yeah, none of these were bad. I'm going to say very clearly.
Yeah, I don't think any of mine
and
were bad either.
It would be really difficult to make a bad demo for that matter.
Sure.
Because this is just like hey, we're going to fix things anyway.
This is our concept.
Yeah. So the first one I played is called, the first one I'm going to talk about is called Airhead. And so here's the way this works. It is a puzzler platformer. So emphasis on the platforming. And you are this hilariously animated thing, like 2 arms, 2 legs, no head. No head at all.
Cool. It's like real life.
You kind of flail around as you're walking.
Are you like one of those wacky inflatable tube men?
It looks kind of like that, but with legs. The way that you're running around, so you wobble a lot, like wobble and flow. But all that to say, the puzzling comes in because as you're going through the world, there are different heads that you can pick up and put on your body, and you get different abilities for them. Now, the one that was highlighted by far the most in the demo, I don't know if there will be others. I'm guessing it'll be a Metroidvania style, where you will get different heads and be able to return to old areas and go to different areas, whatnot. But the one that was by far the most highlighted in this area was there were a lot of like air tanks in the world just around.
Sure.
And there was one head that you'd put on your head and you would slam it against an air tank and it would just inflate really big. But you needed that to breathe. You had like an air meter, and if that got too small, you would die. Now, what I really appreciated was every air tank was a save point. And much like Super Meat Boy or What the Golf, failure states immediately reload. There is
That's
not
good.
like a waiting.
You die. Like a Dark Souls style. 5
nothing
minute cut,
like that.
Loading screen.
You jump right back in, and you get back into it. The platforming was smooth and easy. The challenge was whenever you have a head on, you have to hold it with your hands. Therefore, you can't climb things or pick other things up unless you put the head down. There were these little things in the world that looked like, I called them monkeys. I don't know why, but they looked like monkeys to me.
Okay.
They stuck to the wall and they could like climb around and whatnot. They would try to steal your head if you put it down at all, unless you put a monkey head on.
I hate when monkeys do that.
Yeah, unless you would put a monkey head on, then they would kind of walk away from you.
Okay, you disguise yourself, sure.
Yeah, disguise yourself. And so it was things like that, some pretty simple elements. Overall, it was pretty simple. It was a puzzle platformer, pretty traditional one. Again, the animation was adorable. The aesthetics, it was a very bright game, colorful style. Like, I don't want to say colorful like there were a lot of colors, but the colors popped. They were very bright and very pretty colors in the game. So I did appreciate that about it. It was a little bit simple. And I glitched out and I broke, and that's what ended. I didn't get to finish the demo because I glitched out first. one of the monkeys took my head, and then he got caught on
That actually happened to me once also.
the environment in a place where he couldn't get past a spot, because this was a spot where the puzzle was you need to let this monkey pick up your head, carry it to a different area. You are able to climb over to that area.
Okay.
Then you put a monkey head on, he drops your head and you pick it back up. He got caught on the environment in a place that I couldn't reach him. And every time I dropped my head, I would die, reload, and then he'd pick it up and get caught in the environment in that spot. So,
well, you'll never get ahead in the game if you do that.
Literally, yeah.
You can't lose your head. You got to keep your cool.
But
you'll never be the head of a major corporation.
We
Powers.
are not Austin Powering this.
Austin Powers.
We did Austin Power through this right now.
That's a good one.
Thank you. So it was fine. If you like puzzle platformers, this is a good one. It's got a unique element. Some of the air tanks make you float and things like that. So there were some interesting things, but overall, it's fine. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do the same as you're doing. I think some of them I didn't really enjoy more than other ones, but some of them I enjoyed less than others.
That's going to be the three. My last three I enjoyed differently.
Yeah. So the first one I'll talk about, where it's one that I definitely enjoyed less, is I did it because it's something played it because it's something different than the rest, and also because hey, it's a goof. Yacht Mechanic Simulator.
Oh my goodness!
I tried out Yacht Mechanic Simulator. I have seen gameplay of like car mechanic simulator,
right?
And it seems a pretty good like.
Hold on. Okay, pause.
Okay,
this is not sailing a yacht.
No.
This is being a yacht mechanic.
You have a shop. Somebody brings their boat in, and you got to fix it.
Video games. Why are we so weirdly specific sometimes?
That's kind of what I love. That's kind of what I love about some games. Anyway, Yacht Mechanic Simulator. It has the same logo. I'm assuming it's from like the same developer as all those other mechanics or simulators like Car Mechanic Simulator. Lots of different things like that. Anyway, I did not enjoy this one. It was honestly, I wanted more depth. I wanted more detail to the actual So what you do is you have a computer, you open up an order. Somebody's like, okay, I have a boat and it tells you these things need to be replaced. You need to clean the deck. You need to do these things, whatever. And you get to it. It's very basic. Here's the deck of the boat. Click on the garbage and then just move your mouse slightly and to like fill up this little meter, and the garbage gets thrown away. And see, that's fine. Whatever. That felt weird. That's not really a mechanic thing.
Yeah.
It's just cleaning. But so like if you're replacing, let me say, for example, the like motor or the propeller, it is literally a 3-step process in the game. And it felt like there should be a lot more depth to like removing screws. And it's the kind of thing where it's like, this is a mechanic simulator. You don't need to make it more simple.
Yeah,
we know what we're getting into.
If this were a yacht sailor, yes, me fixing my engine, I'd want it to be a little bit simpler so I could get back to the yacht sailor.
Yeah. If it was like,
but if this mechanic simulator,
specifically about being a mechanic, it's like if you were doing car mechanic simulator and it said replace the engine block and there were 4 steps. No. That takes days. That's a ridiculously in depth. And for people who want to play this game, like you should like cater to that specific need.
Right.
And so that was really frustrating, as well as the actual interface, like the camera. You walk around your garage, but when you go into like fix the boat mode, it's fixed camera angles around the boat. Inside, if there's like a cabin, outside, whatever. And that was incredibly frustrating also. I would have really loved a free moving camera that just allowed me to kind of see every angle that I wanted to, because oftentimes I just didn't know, like it would tell me in my computer order, you need to replace the propeller, the table, and the awning or whatever you want. I don't know what the actual words are, but it would only tell you that in the computer order. So when you get out to fix the boat, you literally have it just ended up me just scrolling, just moving my mouse around to different parts to see if they were bad, and then just then fixing them. And it like I literally was just at a certain point, okay, I'm done with this game because it's getting so frustrating. I don't know what I'm supposed to fix. And I'm supposed to be a yacht mechanic. I should have at least a piece of paper in my pocket that says fix these things.
Here's how to fix this.
Here's what, yeah. And so it was just so basic, and also the like interaction with it was frustratingly, it hampered my enjoyment of the game. I would enjoy it more if in the future they gave it more depth and gave you more like accessibility while you're playing it.
There was similar complaints about Flight Simulator I heard recently. Somebody
The new
saying,
one?
yeah,
Yeah.
just that there is so much they just expect you to know.
Yeah.
And for a simulator, you can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
so-
one didn't really feel like that. It just felt like there's not really much to do when it feels like there should be a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Those things that should be here are not here. And so that felt weird.
I played Kine. This was a demo that I actually played at PAX last year. And it is a true puzzler, a spatial puzzler.
Okay.
But it's a jazz-based spatial puzzler. And this is why I wanted to play it, because of the music more than anything else. So the way it works is there are 3 different instruments, the trombone, the drum, and the piano. And they're all anthropomorphized, and so their goal is to become a band and get to quote unquote the main stage together.
Gotcha.
All 3 want to get to the main stage, and you have to do that by puzzling through different levels. The gameplay itself is pretty simple. You could do this on a phone. It could be a mobile puzzler if you wanted to, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. You know me. If you guys know me, I like puzzle games. A good puzzle game. And this is something that I talk about in the demo itself. A good puzzle game balances being challenging, but easy enough to understand that you can solve everything. The sweet spot that you want is every time you solve a puzzle, you feel like a genius when you solve it. If it's too easy, you think to yourself, that was easy, and you move on. If it's too hard, you just get frustrated until you finally figure it out. You want that sweet spot where it's hard enough that you feel like a genius when you figure it out, but you still figure it out.
Yeah.
So
that's hard to achieve.
It is. It really is. This did that well. This one had balanced that fairly well, and it was really fun to look at. The characters were cute and silly, and they all had very like archetypal attitudes that played together really well. And my favorite thing is whenever because again, it's spatially oriented, so whenever you move to an area that you weren't able to move in, they would do like a discordant off-key hit of whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
So like the trombone would be like, or whatever. So pretty funny, but overall, what made me love this game was the jazz. The farther you got into the level, the more the instrument that you were using played a part in the music.
Okay.
And it played very much like a jazz piece, where slowly the music changes and evolves as it goes on, and different notes are being hit in different ways, and the style is evolving. Like, good jazz music to me, as somebody who loves jazz, evolves as it plays. It's different and it's fun and it's improvised, and this game had that feel to it, and it did a good job being a puzzle game that also felt like jazz.
You just played this so you could say I love jazz.
That's right. We've been podcasting for 3 years or something like that.
It's all been led to.
But it's all come
in
to this
episode
moment.
141. I'm going to talk about a jazz-based game, so I can say I love jazz.
I was in jazz band for 7 years, and I played second chair trumpet. I got all the solos. This is now no longer the nerdy Griffey. This is the nerdy jazz.
Nerdy jazzy. I don't know.
So the jazzy gritty.
Sure.
Anyway, if you like jazz, play Kine. Even if you're not a big fan of puzzlers or anything like that, the music in this game is good enough to play and just experience the music as you play it, and it's fun. If you like puzzlers, play Kine. It's a really good spatial puzzler. If you like puzzles and jazz, sweet spot for us.
There you go. Next one I'll talk about is, I apologize, I don't know exactly how to pronounce this, Xinyan Sword 7? XUAN-YUAN Sword 7.
All right.
This was an interesting one. Part of what I did was, hey, let's look at ones that feel more culturally specific and play those and just kind of see if we can learn something while also playing a game. I did that for a couple of them, actually. Anyway, I'm going to say Xinyan Sword 7. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It was fine. it felt like a PS2 hack and slash game, both in kind of the mechanics and as well as the graphics. There were some, like, it felt like, hey, we got a pretty cool lighting system. So that made some moments feel like, wow, this actually looks really beautiful. But most of it just kind of felt like a PS2 era type construction. I'm okay with that. That's fine by me.
Yeah.
I love the PS2, and also, who cares what the graphics look like if the game is fun and enjoyable and well made. And it was those things to a middling degree. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was essentially a cultural. It was based in China. All the voice acting was in Chinese, and it was a story about a young boy whose family gets killed and he escapes with his young sister, and it's 15 years later, and you are. So it's a demo. It's the early part. It's basically that's what happens, and then what happens is you go and you're leading this army squad or something into the mountains, and you fight monsters and stuff. Hack and slash kind of combat, not really like Dynasty Warriors where it's just mindless. It's a little more like specific. You have moves and different stances you can use, but again, it felt like just a PS2 era type game.
Yeah.
That is currently in production, which was really interesting. It felt like just lower budget game these days,
which is again is fine.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I'm not
well,
trying to say it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's kind of the vibe I got from it. And I don't think I'll play it, but it's not really for the. It was more just I wasn't super engaged with the story or with the actual combat because it felt very basic, and that's okay. But it's just not one that I want to continue putting some time into. So it was interesting though to kind of learn about a little bit of like Chinese culture. A little bit. That didn't really seem like the point of the game.
Yeah.
Just through osmosis, I kind of learned about that.
All right, so we're getting into the games that I enjoyed equally but differently here. And I played Fights in Tight Spaces.
Okay.
So this is a game that was made, the Slay the Spire created the genre of the card-based roguelike.
Sure.
And, or popularized, I guess, the genre of the card-based roguelike. Yeah,
they weren't the first, but they were the huge.
Right. And Fights in Tight Spaces is one that's supposed to be like that. So the basic premise of the game is you are a secret agent, and you're being dropped into a room with a grid, a 3D room with the grid on it, and there are bad guys around you, and the cards that you play allow you to move around this grid and fight the bad guys. And like in most of these games, you can see the bad guys' intentions for whatever they're going to do next.
Okay.
And so you can do things like, if I move over there and he moves over there, and then I push him and then do 2 fires, I can get him to shoot his friend.
Gotcha.
And things like that. And it's pretty fun. I will say that the grid-based movement was one thing that I struggled with. I'm not going to necessarily say it was bad, but you could only move one direction per turn. So even if I had 2 movement spaces, I couldn't go forward then right.
Interesting.
I could only go forward 2 spaces, and you could not move diagonal ever. And that made it pretty frustrating.
Yeah.
If I would have been used to that or expecting that, I think it would have been okay. But being somebody to come in at brand new, I kept making mistakes like, ooh, I can play this, move forward, right, get on this side of him, do that, play the card, and then be like,
no, I can't.
Oh wait, I can't. I can only move forward 2 spaces. That's it. Like I can only move one direction. That is by far my biggest complaint.
Sure.
But maybe my only complaint.
Okay.
But it was big enough that I don't know if I'll go back to it that often or whatever else. It was just the movement aspect of overall was just one that I'm not familiar with.
It feels like to me if I were playing it, it'd be one of those classic Fox moments of a person should be able to do
very
that.
much so. Yes.
So why
I've
can't
felt
I?
that.
And it's a flaw.
In
reality, that's just how the game is designed.
Yeah, it's a design choice.
Yeah.
And I would admit it would have made the game way easier if I were allowed to do that.
Sure.
It's a different challenge.
Yeah.
And so, but it was definitely frustrating to me. But other than that, the strategy of it was deep. And it was really cool for that. Just being able to try and think 5 or 6 turns ahead.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like my kind of game.
That's something that you can do a little bit in Slay the Spire, What you're trying to do in Slay the Spire is more build a deck that has a strategy like that.
Yeah.
And you can do that in this game. This has deck building, not as much as Slay the Spire, but it does have a little bit of deck building to it. But in this, the strategy is the movement around the board, getting people to either fight each other or maneuvering them to the edge of the map, because if you push them off the map, they die instantly, things like that. But probably my favorite part of it is each round, there's like a bonus if you can get it done in 6 turns or less.
Okay.
I was getting them done in about 10 turns-ish. Each round at the end...
So you're bad.
Each round at the end, yeah, I was not great at it.
Okay.
I will admit that. At the end of each round, you can just play what the combat was as if this were an action movie.
Oh, okay.
And it plays through the turns you make. And to me, it would be like a 15-minute long thinking.
Yeah, but in reality,
it's this secret agent jumping in there and knowing all this stuff on the fly, and they show that, and
it's like
it looks pretty
D&D
cool.
when each round is 6 seconds, but it takes 45 minutes or
Yeah.
half an hour to go through a round. And
So they show you what your cool secret agent just did.
That's cool.
And it is. I really like
Feels
that
like a
part
reward.
of it. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. The next one I'll talk about is Pumpkin Jack.
Ooh,
Pumpkin
tell me
Jack.
more. Skeleton Jack is king of the pumpkin patch. Everyone
so
hail
this
to
was-
the pumpkin
no, this was
king.
unrelated.
This is Halloween.
What have I done? This is unrelated to the Nightmare Before Christmas, but
Then I stopped caring.
I'm out. He's leaving. He's currently leaving. Pumpkin Jack was a banjo. They did a Banjo-Kazooie. They did a classic 3D platformer with kind of a similar graphical style, cartoony,
Very
goofy,
rare.
humor, a very rare-ish type of 3D.
Rare
platformer.
being the company that made
Rare
that,
being
not
the company, not
seldom.
that. I mean,
'Cause
they
it's
are
a-
rare these days, but they're
Right,
making
they
a
were pretty
comeback.
common back in the day.
Yeah, they're very common. Anyway, this one was basically a Banjo-Kazooie, but less. It was disappointing in that it didn't have a lot of it wasn't a collectathon like those games usually are.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically just moving through the level, and there is one thing to collect. And the beauty of those games is just complete. There's a completionist element like
Yeah.
Jack and Daxter or Ratchet and Clank, where sure you're playing through the level.
I mean, this is the guy who 120%ed Spyro trilogy.
Spyro,
yeah.
And I did a lot of that. And so this they were very linear levels, and usually those kind of games have a kind of more open level design, not an open world, but a more open level design, and it was a very good, it to me it felt like, yeah, this is what we have so far. I would expect in a game like this to have larger levels and to have more things to collect and more challenges in the game, because what was there was, now it was the first level, so maybe it was this is the tutorial level. After this it gets wild, but as of what there was there, it was just kind of real basic. I walked around and collected the things, and then got to the end and fought the boss, and he was a three cycle, rule of threes boss, and it was actually even maybe less than that, but I took him down, and it was fine. It was the kind of game that I really want to play all the time, but would like more to it. Just more content, I guess. More mindless collecting of meaningless things. Because that's really what scratches that itch for me.
If that's what kind of defines that genre,
sure.
Yeah, why not?
Right, and a game doesn't have to have that, but this kind of felt empty. Now, what it did have going for it was it had a good tone of a kind of not Nightmare Before. Yeah, I keep thinking Nightmare on Elm
Street.
Very
Nightmare
not
on...
that tone. Nightmare Before Christmas, where you play as Pumpkin Jack, who is the spirit of a dead man that the devil put into a pumpkin and gave a body, and you're basically an agent of the devil going to fight things, and that
is not Nightmare Before Christmas.
Sure.
We did not watch the same movie,
It's
clearly.
not- yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas, where the devil
shows
pumpkin.
up and destroys the world. No. But it had that darker humor to it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right
just
now.
that kind of goofy aesthetic, but also darker elements to it. You fight crows and things like that. And you have a sidekick that is a crow that you throw at enemies. So yeah, I'm hoping that there's more. If there's more to the game when it comes out, instant buy for me.
All
that game is
right.
my jam. Like that genre is my jam, and I want another one to play a new one. But if it's just kind of what it is right now, probably not. It would take. I would imagine it'd be a $5 game, and I'd move through it real quick. So yeah,
Next game I played was Faith: The Unholy Trinity.
cool.
So this is a game that was made to be an homage to the late 70s, early 80s, both in video games and the Satanic Panic of the late 70s, early 80s. It's a horror game, and you play as a priest who is going to a home in which there was an exorcism,
Interesting.
but apparently it failed or something. You don't know the whole story yet. All you know is you're going back to this
Got
house.
the spooks.
Bad things have happened here. And
Sounds like a movie I wouldn't watch.
the first thing that happens when you show up, and again, this is all this game could have been made in the 70s or 80s for its graphical fidelity and its pixels and everything like that. This is one that I was telling Fox before we started recording that I have a 4K TV and I could not play on that TV because it would have shown up as like a 4-inch square on that TV.
Just tiny little patch on.
Yeah, so I had to play it on my normal, full
Monitors.
HD, and even then it was like a quarter of my monitor.
Yeah.
It was a very small fidelity. So, but in that era of game, the first thing that's said when you come is, I have to finish the job. It sounds like, I have to finish the job.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That sounds great.
Yeah, and it is. It's great. And so you come in, and it's kind of goofy, and because it's this old thing, and you're walking around, and I don't know if you ever played, I don't remember what it's called, but it was a ski game for computers a long time ago, and as you're going downhill skiing, like a Yeti could run out and grab you and hurt you.
Maybe.
Anyway, you're walking through a forest in this game, and then like a demon will come out. There are two things you can do. You can walk, and you can hold up cross.
Okay.
And so
Fun.
demon comes at you, you hold up cross, and then it runs away. And again, it's pretty goofy and funny. Yeah. And there's like it's Moonlight Sonata that's playing in the very like chiptune type way.
Classic, yeah.
And then you walk in the house and the music stops.
Ooh.
And it's just silence. And you're a little bit unsettled now.
Yeah. Silence is scary.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And then you start learning more about the story. And you can like, the house is all in one color, but every once in a while it'll be something that's a different color. So it'll be like everything's orange. But then there's a picture with 2 orange people and 1 purple person. And if you walk up and you hold your cross up, a spirit comes out of it and a piece of paper comes on the ground.
Interesting.
And it gives you more of the story.
It's like a point and click kind of adventure.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And so it got a little creepy. It did. In fact, if this were not a 70s ode, 80s ode, I don't know if I'd have played this game for very much longer.
Interesting.
I played it for a while. It's one that I may go back to. I'm
I'm pretty sure I saw this one and said, that looks a little creepy for me. I'm not going to play it.
And so what really made me stop, though, was a problem with some of those early games is it got hard at one point.
Yeah.
I was fighting a demon and I didn't know how to fight it. It was not really intuitive when you can only do 2 things, look in a direction and hold up cross, or move in a direction and hold up cross. And you do when you've exhausted 2 things, you feel like there's literally nothing else I can do. I haven't tried, my 83 weapons because I don't have 83 weapons. I have walk and hold up cross. I don't know what
element I can use to find his weakness.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you've exhausted 2 options, you don't know what else to do. And I reached that point in the game where I was fighting a boss and I exhausted my 2 options, and I don't obviously I was missing something.
Did it feel like you were missing something, like an item that could you pick up items? Or?
No, this was not like that. I was not doing something. I guess missing something is not the right word. I was not doing something.
Okay.
I don't know what it was I was not doing though, but I tried, probably a dozen times, which it was very quick to load. That dozen times probably took me 5 minutes.
Gotcha.
But at the end of it, I'm like, I literally don't know of anything else to do. So, but I might come back to it. It was interesting enough for me to want to try it again.
Right.
I was only doing chapter 1. The unholy trinity, quote unquote, is 3 chapters.
Oh, okay.
So I'm curious.
Yeah,
this may be one that I play. Yeah.
Great. I'm going to save my most interesting one, not necessarily my favorite, but my most interesting one for last. So I'll talk about Raji, an ancient epic. This is a not top down, but just kind of top down. It's not like straight looking down, but it's a platformer, action platformer, I guess. Kind of generic, not generic in that it was bad, but just like action platformer. about a this was one of those games where that looks like a very specific like cultural story that's being told.
You're already speaking my language.
And I want to play that game because that puts a little cherry on. Even if the gameplay is kind of fine, then that helps because I'm more interested. So this was a Hindu story. This was about a sister and a brother. Just like I said at the beginning of Xinyan Sword, where it's like the brother, girl gets kidnapped or something happens and now they're on their own. This was sister and a brother who are like puppeteers and like carnival kind of workers. They're traveling, they go to this carnival and they're, doing their thing, and then demons attack. And the brother gets kidnapped, taken by the demons, and now this story, this ancient epic, is the story of the sister going on a journey guided by the gods to find her brother. And as far as the gameplay goes, pretty run-of-the-mill action platforming kind of thing, but the story is really cool. It's narrated by the gods. As you're playing, your character doesn't really say anything. Do you remember Bastion, where the kid doesn't say anything, but the whole time you have this like active narrator who's kind of talking about what the kid does this thing, and
he's awesome.
It's very cool. It's one of the most interesting. It's not really where it's like specific to your specific action, but you have the different gods talking about what she's going through and like the strength she's going to need and talking about, and then you gain like this weapon from one of the gods, and there are murals on the walls where you can, they do nothing but just tell you a little bit of a story from like, Hindu lore and things like that. And it was very clearly made by people who have a specific cultural like viewpoint and want to tell a story from that viewpoint. And
okay, cool.
And it was really great. It was the kind of game that you couldn't just. It's the kind of stories. It's the kind of whatever that I've never seen before. The art style of the cutscenes was really great. It was very like all the limbs of the people had little sticks, like they were puppets in like a show or something. And it was just a very unique style where it really wasn't about how many frames per second. It was really about the unique aesthetic that they were going for.
Yeah.
And it was really fun to play through, just kind of learning about these Hindu gods and just the epic tales that, because Hindu mythology is crazy sometimes.
I mean, mythology in general gets crazy sometimes.
But like epic battles, and so it was really fun to play. It's one that we will. I'm demanding it. We will play together.
Yes,
it came out today, so we should play it soon.
All right, sounds good to me.
Yeah,
I love that. My last one is I probably enjoyed and am maybe more likely to play Faith, but this one was the most unique of all of them that I played. It's a first-person 3D puzzler called Superliminal. The premise of the game is that you are part of a lucid dreaming test. So you are asleep, but you are aware of your dream, and they're trying to test you on different puzzles. Here's the way it works. It's all based on optical illusions. So let's say you walk into a room, and in the corner, there is a giant chess piece. You, with the grab action, grab that chess piece and look down, or maybe you walk closer to a wall or whatever it is. So now, compared to what it was before, it looks much smaller, if that makes sense.
Feels like something I'd have to actually witness to
right.
understand.
So, let's put it this way. You cover one eye, you take a very small chess piece, but you hold it up to something giant in the background, and they look the same size in your sight. You understand that?
Sure.
You drop that thing, and now in-game, it is the equivalent size of that thing you just held it up next to. So you would walk in, and it would be things like, you'd walk into a room, there's a door that's about a floor up, and then there's blocks on the ground. like basic play blocks. You grab one, you walk as far away from the door as possible, and you hold it up. So in your vision, that block now looks like it will give you one jumping platform up to that door.
All right.
You let
like
go
a
of it.
perspective puzzler.
It's a perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
You drop it, and there it is. And you walk up and you jump on it, and then you jump through the door.
Reminds me a little bit of Fez, where it's like, here's one direction, platforms are here, but if you just spin to another direction, that platform is now here, and then it allows you to jump up into it.
Yeah, a little bit
place.
like that. Or I guess similar.
Sure, similar in just the perspective being important.
And then there are other things like you'll walk into a room, and there'll be a picture of a block on the wall, but it's kind of stretched and weird. And then if you just stand in the exact right spot in the room, it forms it actually looks like a perfect cube. And then that cube falls down.
Interesting.
Because you've set it in the right spot.
Okay.
So all of the puzzling is like that. It's way fun. It's all optical illusions. There'll be like, you'll look down a hallway and you'll be like, oh, there's the path. And you'll walk down, but then you'll find out that it's actually 10 steps, but the hallway is just shrinking to make it look like it's really far away. Very, very Alice in Wonderland-esque.
Yeah, or it reminds me of like in the original Charlie and Chocolate Factory.
Yes.
When they're entering and it's like that tiny little hallway.
Exactly like that. Or there's another one where, it looks like you're in a hotel. And so you'll look through a door and you'll see like a framed area and it looks like you've hit a dead end. There's nothing to go. But then you walk up to one of the doors and it just so happens that framed area actually goes back a long hallway. But from the perspective of that one spot that you're standing, it looks like a dead end.
Interesting.
You just have to walk through that area and see that it's, painted to look that way or whatever.
Cool.
So it is really unique and super cool. Once you figure out the optical illusion of it, the puzzles themselves were not very difficult. Usually it's move block to place, jump on block, and move.
Sure.
But the actual like getting the perspective of things
it's more about the interesting unique
really unique puzzler. At the same time, you are there are boom boxes around and you walk up and you click one and then be like, hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so, this is the test that's going on here.
Interesting.
And then you go and you click another and be like, you're now in an area that you were not meant to be in. We did not prepare for this testing. Please turn back. Almost
so it's telling you a story
Portal
still.
style.
Okay.
Yeah. So almost Portal style.
Okay.
And then you get to a point where when the demo ends, it says, just so you know, you are still in the test. So if you walk away and think that things are normal, know that they are not. So if you encounter any people, say your parents, hit them as hard as you can and run away.
Okay.
And so it's a joke
like a
saying
Cave Johnson kind of.
Yeah, very, very much so. So it was really unique, really fun. It is one that I may go back to as well.
Sure.
Again, I don't know if I'd say it was as intriguing as Faith, but so unique.
Yeah.
The whole optical, again, it was all based around these
It sounds like one
illusions.
we should play together also because
Yeah.
I want to see that.
I would have to play it because I had to take
you'll yarts all over the place.
I had to take motion sickness medicine to play it.
Yeah.
Let alone to watch you play it. So anyway, Superliminal. I'm stoked for it. I am.
All right. My last one is called Chinatown Detective Agency.
Ooh.
It's a noir point-and-click adventure.
Nice.
Reminded me a little bit of Backbone. It's more like you can move around. It's more about just like still backgrounds, and then you can walk around them. Kind of like more of a classic point and click.
Right.
Backbone's a little more progressive in how you interact.
Okay.
Around.
I see what you're saying.
This one's more just like moving between screens. Like you have a map screen of like the world, or you have a map screen that allows you to go to different places in the current location. You have an airport screen, which allows you to buy tickets to different places in the world. You can fly there and then see that screen, and then you just still images on which.
Yeah, so let's say exactly the same thing. So it's all just stills.
Sure, still images which you can interact with. And so you play as I forget her name, but you play as a detective, an ex-cop detective, classic noir situation.
Yep.
In
she
Chinatown,
was a rogue. She was the best they have, but she was a loose cannon.
You're in Chinatown, but it's the Chinatown of Singapore.
Wait, what?
It's the Chinatown area of Singapore.
Okay.
It's like how there's a Chinatown in Portland and also one in New York.
Yeah, but I guess, that's true. My brain, just because, again, my area, like, just Asian countries are
yeah,
similar.
because you're a racist.
But no, to me, this would be the equivalent of saying Canada Town in in Arizona. It's like, I guess that makes sense.
I'd love that.
That's still so similar, though. Like,
I would love to go to Chinatown. Well, no, I think it's more similar to. I guess I understand what you're saying. I would say it's more similar to like in, the Northeast, where it's very European style. There are still like classic German towns, where they have that really specific, but this isn't really that. It's more just here's where the Chinese congregate. Like how cities form.
Yeah, I got you.
Anyway. Chinatown Detective Agency, set in Singapore. The game is you are given a mystery, like, hey, here's a case. What's really interesting about this game is that it expects you, it straight up tells you in the game, you need to go use the internet to solve this.
Interesting.
It tells you in the game, like, hey, you're going to need to get on, you're going to need to use the internet or use an outside source. Use some kind of source to find the answer to this riddle or this mystery. And for a second, you're like, okay, so where's the internet option on my menu? Oh, there's not one. It's literally expecting me to click outside the game and open up a web browser.
Oh.
So I think it is a mobile. I think it would play really well on mobile because you can just quit
right.
Whatever. That was super interesting to me because it was like, okay, cool. It's just like, this is a resource that she would have. So I have it as the detective. This is a resource I'm using. It's just not an in-game version of the internet. It's the actual internet. And also, it kind of like, for me, getting on the internet to figure out how to solve something in a game is usually a sign of defeat.
Right. Like you
or it's just like, I need help, not defeat.
Yeah.
I'm more than willing to go to the internet all the time because I would like to continue and finish a game rather than try to do it all on my own. But this felt, it was really interesting that the game straight up tells you, hey, you're going to need to go somewhere else. So, for example, really, really like the one that stuck with me was at one point a client comes to you and says, I have a friend that wants to send this stamp back to its place of origin. Can you do that for me? There's more story stuff to it, but basically that's the task. And you can look at the stamp. And they say, we don't know exactly where it came from, but if you could get it as close to its original city, like the one it was actually mailed from, you would get a bonus, money for bonus payment. And so what you do is look at the stamp, and it has like the actual stamp. Spoilers, I guess, if you're gonna play the demo for this, but has like Adrianople on it. I don't know if you're playing it, like Constantinople, but Adrianople, and you're like, okay, so
Istanbul became Adrianople.
Sure.
Why did Istanbul become Adrianople?
Go ahead.
What?
Okay. Anyway, Adrianople.
Why they changed it, I can't say. Maybe they liked it better that way. Sorry.
All right. Adrianople, and then it has a portion of, because it's just a stamp, it has a portion of the cancellation mark that the post office, stamps it with. And it has 4 letters from that city's name in that cancellation mark. And so your goal is to, basically what I did was Google Adrianople. Okay, so that's part of this, this civilization. Okay, look up cities that were under the control. It said 1913 somewhere. Okay, what territory did this civilization have in 1913? Oh, interesting. They controlled Beirut. Okay, well, that kind of the 4 letters are B-R-U-T or something like that. That's not Beirut, but it's similar. Let's look up Beirut. Maybe there's a city there. I'm on Wikipedia. Okay, no cities, but oh no, wait, in the actual original language, that's actually how Beirut is spelled this way, and that's what it would be. And so then you fly to that city, give it back to the museum there, and then come back and you get a bonus because you solved that.
How much did you feel like an actual detective?
It very much felt like, okay, I actually have to do actual real world research
because I'm into this,
and it was really interesting. It might have just been my, understanding or my intellect level, but I wish there was a little bit more of a few more hints because it took me a good long while to figure it out. It took me a good long while, and I got lucky. But in reality, so I wish there was a little bit more of a few more hints or something.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I kind of love the idea of, no, you got to go figure it out on your own. It's not just in-game stuff. And so it was, to me, that game is a gamble. They're developing it in a way that's not everybody's going to really be into this because it feels like, you have to go Google things and there's just so much on the internet. Where do I go? What specifically do I look at? It just, if it's all in game, that there is a like finite amount of stuff to look through. Even if in the game had a in-game version of an encyclopedia, it's going to have, even if it had a lot, you could theoretically read through everything and just happen to find it. This is the full internet that you have to look through.
the whole thing.
So a bit of a risk, but I also really enjoy it because that's a unique kind of mechanic that I thought they were using.
Google, I'm sure, helps.
Yeah. The Google does help. I used a lot of Google and Wikipedia. So anyway, really interesting mechanic to use there. It'd be one that I'd also consider playing more. This was the one that I didn't finish the demo because it glitched out on me, and at one point it wasn't my computer because I was able to exit out of the game and all that. It was just I was stuck on something, even in this weird the game just kind of froze basically. But it was late enough that I was like, all right, I really get this game still, So disappointed there, but it wasn't enough to say, oh, this game is not one I want to try over again or anything.
This reminds me of when we used to do Wikipedia races.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
That's kind of what it feels like. It feels like we've talked about like gamification of like education and stuff, and like using Wikipedia is just like, okay, you have to get from this page to this page and tell me how you got there and tell me about, give me a fact about each page you saw. That kind of felt like that, where it's like use real world resources and I'm learning stuff while also just trying to figure out this mystery in this game.
We should do a multi-stream at one point of Wikipedia races.
Yeah, we should.
And just let our viewers do tell us, okay, what subject you want us to get to. That thing, cool. If you guys don't know what a Wikipedia race is, Fox and I did this in the past. Just when we worked together in the same office, we would do this for breaks, and we would pick
yes, breaks, and not just all the time because we were terrible at work.
We would pick a random topic. We'd go to Wikipedia, and then there's a random article button.
You hit random page.
And it takes you to a random page, and then using only the intro paragraphs. So you can't,
using in-text links.
But we say only before the... Oh.
Well, you were at a disadvantage then, because that's not how I
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, whoops.
Using in-text
only
links.
in-text links.
You had to get to whatever that random topic you chose at the beginning.
Really, the best way to go is get to philosophy. Once you get to philosophy,
good. Usually it's like a widen out to the
zoom
world
out and then zoom back
in to where specific. Anyway, really fun. We should play that one.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are our demos that we played from. They are 10 out of hundreds of demos.
Yes.
So it's a bit random. I kind of just chose different genres and different things.
I did the same thing. I tried to get games as different as possible.
If you played any of them, let us know. Played any of the ones we played or played any of the demos. Let us know what you liked. Let us know what you thought of the ones we played. And if there are any of those that sound like something you want to see more of, we'll definitely let us know and we can play through them. So.
Absolutely. Thanks for you got me saying it now. Thanks for listening, you guys. We appreciate your support. We really want to say thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and some of my neighbors do too. That's off of the album Dear Sam. It's a really good track. Go check it out.
Yeah. Also, check out our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We have a lot of content on our YouTube channel. Currently, what's going up right now is my playthrough of Stardew Valley, my playthrough of Assassin's Creed Origin, my playthrough of No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is a weekly thing every Friday.
My playthrough of Evans Remains just went public. It was Patreon exclusive for a long while, but it just finished.
Same with Stardew Valley, as well as the second two Spyro games in the remaster. Those are all exclusive on our Patreon right now. And then also our playthrough of Spiritfarer is still happening right now,
which is wonderful.
It's a wonderful, wonderful game. We got a lot on there and plenty of literally thousands of other videos. So go check it out.
All right. Thanks again for listening, guys. And always remember that save games, save lives.
Bye.
My voice sings all night.